There we go. There we go. There we go. And welcome to Rapid Rant. It's your week 22 review. Rocky Mountain Cup review. I am Don Pablo. Follow Rapid Rant on Twitter, Facebook. You can check in on all our social media accounts there. Participate in the show, of course, and all that stuff. So much fun. I also started live streaming on Twitch and YouTube. So just go there. It's not Rapid Rant. It's Rocky Mountain Sports Report on Twitch and YouTube, and you could see the live show, participate, make some comments, however you want to do that. Mountain Time Sports Report, the forgotten time zone. But don't forget about us. And the Rapids did not forget about the fans this weekend. Although, I think there was 5,000 that braved the weather for the Salt Lake match. And of course, the Rapids win the Rocky Mountain Cup. And man, it's been a long time ever since the podcast came back. They have not won it. So watching the fans celebrate and even the players, that was satisfying for me. And Coach Armas gets his first trophy, and the rest of the guys, they're happy. I think Lawless had won, but man, it was a long time, and for the Rapids to win their first trophy in a while, especially after last year, just feels good, right? Just I'm happy about it. There's some injury news today, and some other things. The Olympics are happening. That first match already started, and the MLS Cup, All-Star game is midweek this week. The right side of the Rapids defense, Moise Bombito, and of course Keegan Rosenberry, the captain. They're in Columbus to play against the League MX All-Stars, who we'll see a preview of because League's Cup starts on Friday, the 26th, even though the Rapids don't play until the 1st of August. We can watch Portland versus Leon, the other two teams in the Rapids group, this weekend. And then, of course, the next game at home at Dick's Sporting Goods is not until August 5th. So fans get a couple weeks off. I'll be at Broncos training camp a couple times. I'm excited for that. But, this is the Rapids show. So let's get on to the Rapids. And before I start breaking down Rocky Mountain Cup, one person that didn't play was not on the team sheet this weekend, Kevin Cabral. And, man, we got some bad news. 12 weeks he's going to be out. Broke his arm, dislocated his elbow. When he scored the goal against the Galaxy, and he did play out the half, but he scored, I think it was the 45th minute, so he didn't play that much, but not coming out the field after you break your arm and you dislocated elbow. That's hardcore, as I said. Let me just look real quick what time that goal was scored. I think it was actually an extra time in the first half. If MLS will let me get there. We'll see. No, it wasn't the 31st minute. It was at the 31st minute. So we played. That was with 12 minutes extra time, too. Dang. That's more hardcore than I thought it would be. Yeah. 32nd minute. Dude. That's dang, Kevin. That's hardcore, man. You played for another 20 minutes after that. I mad respect for that. And it brings back a memory. When I went to the UFC fights, it was John Bones Jones versus Quentin Rampage Jackson. This was 2011 or 12. And it wasn't that fight. That fight, Bones Jones versus Rampage, ended in the second round. It wasn't even really a contest. John Bones Jones submitting Rampage Jackson. But there was a guy, the heavyweight fight of the night. One of the guys broke his jaw, and he was bleeding everywhere. And he not only finished that round, but he finished the fight with a broken jaw, bleeding everywhere. I guess they got it controlled in the between the second and third round, but it started bleeding again in the third round, and that was hardcore, man. Like that's probably the having a broken jaw and going back into the fight. Just imagine that. Kevin dislocating his elbow and breaking his arm, requiring surgery, and Rapid said the official word is 12 weeks at least. So, what happens to the Rapids then? We'll get into that in a minute, but we'll talk about the Rocky Mountain Cup. Rapids had to win to get the cup. In the first 30 minutes, oh boy, that was rough. Salt Lake were just teeing off on the Rapids, shooting long shots, and both of Salt Lake's goals were long shots, and they're still going for that even after the first 30 minutes. So it was rough. It was rough being a Rapids fan the first 30 minutes. The wind was blowing hard. It was, interesting at the stadium. There weren't, the fans were rocking, but it wasn't like, they were into it. They didn't boo, but the first 30 minutes of the game, real rough for the Rapids. Bombito was on a yellow by then. And then the 30th minute came, and I think I tweeted something to the effect of, I don't see how the Rapids are going to score 2 to win, much less score 1 to level. And then I tweeted X or posted after that. I ate my words, because in the 35th minute, Connor Ronan forced a turnover like 30-yard line, basically, in the offensive zone, final third, if you will. And he passed it to Hoffa. Hoffa gave it to Cole Bassett. Cole Bassett, he dropped a ball over the top for Johnny Lewis, and it was a half volley, but it was kind of it was about as off the ground as you would do a drop kick. And he got it past the goalie of Salt Lake. Rapids level in the 35th minute. And then the stadium started rocking. Then they had a couple more chances. And Jonathan Lewis, especially with Cabral out, I think we'll be seeing more of him and Omir. Maybe Jonathan Lewis in the starting lineup, because now he has 2 goals, and he added an assist last weekend against Salt Lake. So I'm not going to say we're not going to miss Kevin, but somebody stepped up, and now he's getting goals that previously wasn't. Yep, he got a goal. He's back on the score sheet, and he got in the game again. And And was he around? Was he around when the when the handball happened at the end of the game? Kinda, but it was definitely a handball. Anyway, 4 minutes later, and Cole Bassett just found Jonathan Lewis, and Lewis crossed it, and Sam Vines was just there, and Sam Vines scored. And I think I read that he hadn't scored for the Rapids since 2021. So remember I was talking about 8 different assists a couple weeks ago? Everybody's getting in on it. I think all the Rapids players are believing in the coach. Not that they would ever say they weren't, but you can tell that they're doing it now. And especially with Jonathan Lewis getting off the schneid and Yappy. And I just think, they're still kind of getting better. And I called Jonathan Lewis, but I think what I said was, now is the time for him to, score those goals and get better, especially against the lesser competition maybe a couple of weeks ago, Kansas City. But not only to do it against, bottom of the table teams, now he did it against a team that was tied for first place at the beginning of last week. And Salt Lake had been in first place for, better part of a month. So Jonathan Lewis has showed up now. Yappy has showed up. He's going for assists and goals. He's being the big man on the top, getting the ball, trying to turn, find somebody, or taking it to score himself. And it's a perfect time for them to do that. And, Sam Vines scored a goal. That's another homegrown, contributing for the team. So the Rapids homegrown plans have worked out. Their drafts have worked out. And we'll talk about Moise Bombito in a minute, because Canadian national team coach Jesse Marsh, he pulled a Jurgen Klinsmann, talking trash about the USA, on the Canadian media / national team. Anyway, I'll get to that in a little bit, because we're still celebrating happy vibes, for the Rocky Mountain Cup. And, so halftime comes, and immediately when halftime starts, weather delay. And I tweeted a video, and it was just coming down. It was crazy. It was I never seen rain like that over there in Commerce City. There was videos that I-70 was flooding, where it went under, where they have in by Globeville, where they have the park over the top of the highway when it goes in the tunnel, and people were trying to go through the flooding and getting their cars stuck. So tough day. Come on, drivers. We can't drive the car through the water. Anyway, so there was a 106-minute weather delay, and it was a fun lightning show. The drone show got canceled. Although so we come back, and the drone show got canceled. Although I would say it was much better weather for the second half than the first half, when there was 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts around Dick's Sporting Goods Park. And in the second half, after the front moved out, we saw the moon. It was clear. It was clear by the end of the match, and it was nice weather. People were partying outside and in the stadium and everything. So they maybe could have had the drone show, although it didn't get over. The match didn't get over till 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night. So maybe people didn't want, and a lot of people left in between halftime and when they started the game up. I think there was, in my estimation, 5,000 to maybe 7,000 fans that stayed. Both supporters group, most of them stayed to see the outcome, because it's a tournament, it's a trophy, and people want to see. I saw Cole Bassett score a penalty at the end, and he said in his press conference that he saw the goalkeeper had which way the penalty potential penalty takers for the Rapids, which way they go the most, and so he planned accordingly when he stepped up to take the shot in the 88th minute there. But we're back, and even Cole said, so we come back from halftime. The weather delay it's actually pretty nice. But the Rapids, they kind of started slow again. And maybe it was due to, the weather delay, because they had all the momentum going into halftime, going into the weather delay. But it kind of started the same way that the first half had. And Salt Lake was pressuring. In the 49th minute, Andres Gomez scored his second brace, and that was from the top of the 18. And the first goal, it was to the right of goal. The first goal was to the left of goal. It bounced, and Zach Steffen missed it. I think he didn't see it until it was too late. But he went the right way. It just was past him barely, and reaction time is what it is. So the first goal, I don't blame Zach Steffen that much. I just think he didn't see it until it was too late. Also, maybe he didn't think they were going to shoot from there, like 30 yards out, maybe 25 to 30 yards out. But the second one, I mean, he just placed it nice. And Andres Gomez gets the brace in Commerce City. And the all-everything Salt Lake player, Julio, I think he had a shot on goal, but he didn't really do much. Excuse me, Diego Luna. My fault. Diego Luna, he didn't really do much. He got a yellow card at the end of the match. But the Rapids kept tabs on him. Obviously, they were out Arango, who got suspended for 4 matches for violating the harassment / talking trash policy. And maybe that was in Salt Lake, as I pointed out, and they were starting to get testy in the second half after the Rapids started doing better. Calvin Harris came on in the 65th for Omir, and Yappy came on for Ali Larraz, right then. So it kind of changed up the front and the midfield a little bit. And the Rapids started doing better. Calvin got some service, some crosses in, and just as he has done a couple games before, the Rapids started doing much better. Kamani came in for Johnny Lewis in the 78th. And then just as happened in the first half, Salt Lake tired out. Rapids started getting chances again. Salt Lake started getting angry. Started pushing, started fouling. Because in the first half, there really wasn't, in both starts of the halves, there really wasn't that many free kicks. Salt Lake wasn't fouling. They weren't giving up corners. And when that finally happened is when the Rapids turned their luck around. So it was 2-2 all throughout the second half from 49th minute in. And Rapids started doing that. I think they got under the skin of Salt Lake a little bit. And Salt Lake was, giving it to us. There was some pushing. Yappy got the yellow. I don't know how Salt Lake didn't get more, but you can't ever predict the refs, right? So then it was the 88th minute, and the Rapids had a couple chances, and we knew there wasn't going to be as much stoppage time, as in the first half. Maybe anyway. So it ended up being 4 minutes, but Rapids had a corner kick. And it for sure went off the arm, and he chicken winged it. Of the Salt Lake defender. So I'm like, put your arm down. He was jumping, but it's not. Yeah, man, it didn't hit your shoulder. It hit the bottom part, but between your elbow and like the mid part of your arm. So it was definitely a handball. I don't know why Salt Lake fans are complaining about it. Maybe because, the Denver Nuggets have won more NBA championships than the Utah Jazz. Anyway, Klobasa scores. Loffelson came on right after that to, waste some time / shore up the midfield just so Salt Lake, protect us from giving up a goal. And yeah, Rapids win. Rocky Mountain Cup coming back to Colorado. We got the ribbons, the burgundy and light blue, sky blue, I think it's called, ribbons on the trophy. And, Rapids, we'll say this, they only had 36% possession to, 64 for Salt Lake. 10 shots to 12 for Salt Lake, 4 shots on goal each. And 4 corners each, by the way. So, I'll take it. Rapids go into the break on a positive note. And the last time they had a week off, a couple weeks ago, they went into that. It was rough, right? Vancouver. It was between Vancouver and Houston. Houston, Rapids went down there, lost 3-1, and then Vancouver 2-1 loss in Canada. But the Rapids, other than that, in June, they went 4-0. They went 4-0 after Vancouver. In July, win at home Kansas City, win at home St. Louis, draw New York, the 1-goal loss in LA, and then a victory. So they went 3-1-1 in July. Now they get a couple weeks off, before we have to go to Portland and maybe exercise some demons from them. And they were down in the standings, but now it's a different story. So let's check out the MLS standings real quick. Although it's never quick with me. This is Rapids Rant, by the way. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook. You can watch the show live on Twitch and YouTube. Just look for Mountain Time Sports Report. Mountain Time Sports Report. Rapids Rant will be going live there. Or you can listen to us on any podcasting service. There is, basically. You can listen to any of us. Sorry if there's commercials sometimes. Some of the podcasts, that's just how it is. I'm sorry. I don't like commercials either. That's why YouTube Premium is my favorite subscription service outside of watching live sports, because no commercials on YouTube Premium. It's the best. All right. Let's do Western Conference first. After the logjam that was the beginning of the week last week, LA Galaxy, they're on a roll. 49 points, 14 wins, 5 losses, 7 draws. They're up by 2 over LAFC. Both LA teams on the top of the Western Conference, and the other California team, we'll get to them in a minute. Salt Lake, they were all tied. I think it was 43 points at the beginning of the last week. They only got 1 out of their 3 matches. They're in third place, 44. Rapids 3 points back, 1 win. The Rapids are within 3 points of third place, although they don't play a league game until an MLS regular season game until the last day of August, so August 31st. And that's in Dallas. So the Rapids go into this long break, MLS season break anyway, in 4th place, in a home playoff game position. And, Kevin Cabral is not going to be close really to being in, but that's still 4 weeks of him getting rehab and getting better for that. And if it goes 12 weeks, since the Rapids have 2 early games in October, Austin, the last game of the season, MLS Decision Day. That's October 19th. Maybe Kevin Cabral can come back for that. Although maybe the Rapids are a different team. They probably will be in 3.5 months. So it sucks. And Kevin has been a great contributor on the season. But he's gone for three months, man. And You can't say it, but you can say it. But the Rapids have been very lucky with injuries this year. Although I'm glad we have Calvin back after his groin. I think who had a stress fracture? Kamani? Anyway, it doesn't matter. So they've been better. Kamani's coming back, although I think he's going to the World Cup, under 20s World Cup or something. So anyway, just after the Rapids, Vancouver in 5th place, 38 points. Houston and Seattle tied with 37, 6th and 7th place in wild card position right now. Portland 36, Minnesota 33. Minnesota barely hanging on to the playoffs right now. Just after that, still have a chance. Austin and Dallas, 2 and 3 points back out of the playoffs. Kansas City, they're 9 points back. St. Louis, 10 points back on 23. And San Jose, last place, 14th in the West. The team that rounds out California, 19 points out of a playoff position. But the team I want to talk about was Portland. They've improved their home record. 7 wins, 2 losses, 3 draws on the season. And the Rapids have to go there again. And this doesn't count other competitions, and it's going to be Leagues Cup. So Portland still comes to Denver. And that's in early September. Yeah, mid-September the 14th. So Portland still comes to Denver. So we're going to see them twice. And they're already different than they were, the first match of the season, which I think the Rapids want some revenge there. They say it without saying it. You can, if you read between the lines on the press conference, they want Portland. They want them again, and they're getting them twice, even though they have to go there. And the Rapids, they've been good on the road. I'm going to say the record is 4-7-2, but I swear they've been good on the road. The draw in Miami, the win against New York City. They can play on the road, right? It's just now we need Omer to step up, and he's been going back and forth in the starting lineups this year. He got a bunch in a row, but now they're going to need him more. And Calvin, who has shown he could do it, it's just the wearing down of the team. Although, depending on the Leagues Cup run, they might get a bunch of time off with that. But who knows how that's going to go. Calvin has started too, and Omer. So they've all kind of started. They've all had their chances this year. And obviously with the injury, it's going to be a little different now. So that's your Western Conference update. If the season ended today, Rapids will be playing a 3-game series with Vancouver Whitecaps. And obviously, I just talked about them losing in Vancouver 2-1. And we beat them. We shut them out at the DSG Park. And I think they were playing Upperman for a while there. Yeah, in the right before extra time, extra time ended, stoppage time in the first half. Utvik got a red card. Rapids went in. Rafa scored 1. They went to halftime 1-0, and that ended the match. So the Rapids, they've traded home victories against each other with Vancouver, although we still got a long time to go. So, but right now, it looks like if it ended right now, Vancouver. Although I would want to see Portland and Minnesota. That would be in Portland, where they have a pretty good record. 7-2-3 is, like I said. Let's go to the Eastern Conference. Miami is cementing themselves. They're not running away with it, but they're 5 points clear in the Eastern Conference. 4 points in the Supporters Shield run. 53 points on the season for Inter Miami. Cincinnati FC, 48 points. Columbus, 43. New York, 41. That rounds out your home playoff games in the picture. If the season ended today, it would be City versus Red Bull. And even if City starts in front, they should play the games at the Red Bull Stadium because, I guess end of October, there might be some baseball I would say more likely with the Yankees than the Mets. So that, playing at Citi Field. Anyway, they should just play the games at Red Bull Stadium, which I understand is not good for the opposing team there, Citi, but that would be fun to watch that again. Charlotte is right after that in 6th place. Orlando, 3 points back. They're making the playoffs right now. Perea has them doing better. Wild card in the Eastern Conference, Toronto and Atlanta. And man, every team except for maybe one can make the playoffs right now in the Eastern Conference. So we want parity in the MLS. We want parity in North American sports. The Eastern Conference right now has it. So in the last playoff spot, Atlanta, 28 points. But right after them, 2 teams have 27, Philadelphia and Montreal. 2 teams have 26, 2 points back, Nashville and DC United. Chicago, they're 3 points back. So one win is, if anything, if it goes a separate way, Chicago in 14th place, maybe they can move up. They can move up and technically be in the 5 teams have to lose in front of them, but Chicago Fire not out of the playoff picture at all. And New England last place, 15th in the East. They're only 5 points back. So the Eastern Conference right now is shaping up to be way more drama than the Western Conference the last couple months of the season. I think the Rapid they only have 34, so they only have 8 games left. LAFC 10 games left. Salt Lake has 9. So Salt Lake has game in hand, 3 points over the Rapids. But the 2 teams behind the Rapids, Vancouver has 10 games left. Houston has 10 games left. So the good news is Rapids are getting some time to rest. The bad news is they have to win more because the teams behind them have games in hand on them. So, that's just how the season is, right? You don't know especially after last year when a bunch of games when Vancouver got canceled, and then another game got moved or delayed pretty well. So luckily the first weather delay at DSG Park didn't really affect the Rapids. Well, it did, but it didn't hurt them because they came back and won the game. They showed some adversity, and the thing that I wanted to talk about, despite them showing adversity, was having adversity and overcoming it, I should say, is there's kind of a problem, and I don't know if it's brewing. And Coach Armas said it in his press conference, and he loves that his team fights. And he said it was a big match, which it was a big match. And the Rapids, getting ready for the postseason, all these games are going to count more because teams have games in hand on us. And he gave a bunch of credit to Sam Vines. He says he's too hard on himself, which, when you get to that level, there's a lot of expectations and all that. But I'm glad that he has come out of this, this weekend going into the break, on a very good note. Because, when it's like that, when you think about it that much, when it's your job, having that could make all the difference, and resting and getting some training in before, we take on the Leagues Cup and Lyon is coming to town here in a couple of weeks. But other than that, we'll get some rest. We'll get the little knocks and make them better. And I was just excited. I just, I feel good for the team. Cole got a penalty kick. Our homegrowns are, making a difference. And with the way they changed the team makeups last week, because some leagues like to change rules in the middle of the season. Whatever. Teams have to declare if they're going to have more designated players or less. that will be homegrown, or they'll count a different way towards the salary cap. And it's not exactly clear. I was trying to look up research about it, but is what it is. So that's your table talk for the week, and we'll just go over some scores from last weekend, just because I like doing that. The champs lost in Atlanta 2-1. Chicago lost to Miami, same score. Toronto shut out Montreal. New England, Dallas tied at 1. New York beat Cincinnati, 3-1 at Red Bull Arena. So Red Bull, they're coming on. New York City and Atlanta drew at 1. Philadelphia shut out Nashville 3-0. Austin, Charlotte draw 2s. Kansas City, St. Louis draw 1-1. Minnesota shut out San Jose. They got a get right game. Get right game is against San Jose this year. So that happened. LAFC shut out Seattle. Seattle was doing better. They were climbing in the standings. They're still in the playoff position. But they were at home too. LAFC went up to the Pacific Northwest and handled business. Houston 4, Vancouver 3, and LA Galaxy 3, Portland 2. LA, man, if they host the Western Conference Championship, they're going to the MLS Cup because they haven't lost in Dignity Health Sports Park. Their only, quote, home loss is at the Rose Bowl when they played the El Trafico, which I was making my guys laugh because I was looking up rivalry names for teams, because he had never heard of, like, why do they get trophies for these regional things? And I'm like, wait, you don't know this? But he didn't watch college. He's never watched college football, so he doesn't know about all these trophies. And even the one for Wyoming and Colorado State, they have a gold boot, and their ROTC will, depending on where the game is, the opposing ROTC will march that trophy, maybe jog down 287 to Laramie, Wyoming, or to Fort Collins and deliver that. And that's hardcore too, man, because that's a jog. That's a marathon, more than marathon. Anyway, there's your scoreboard update for Week 22 MLS. Of course, you're listening to Rapid Giant. I am Don Pablo. If you want to follow me on Twitter, just my personal one, Don Pablo 303. Don Pablo 303. And check it out. I don't know. It's a lot of other sports. All right? And if you're listening to this on podcast form, go to Twitch, go to YouTube. It's Mountain Time Sports Report, Mountain Time Sports Report for both of those things, websites, and I'll be there. All right, I just wanted to get two things. USA they played France in the opening match of the 2024 Olympics in Paris. USA played the home team, and they got worked. They got worked 3-0. Nobody scored until the 60th minute. But yeah, that was a rough one. That was a rough one for the United States to watch, right? Anyway, Georgie had one shot. I think he had 2 shots, but one shot went off the crossbar that he had it placed very well, and it just went off the top of the. It didn't skim the cross. It went off the top. If it was a couple inches lower, it would have bounced into the goal. But life is a game of inches. Sports is a game of inches. Are a game of inches? Yeah. So there's that. He did well. I mean, they just got kind of outclassed. And then it was the host team. And Paris won the World Cup at home. They won the World Cup other places. They have a really good, they just did well in the Euros here a couple weeks ago. So they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing over there. And USA has 2 more matches left to make the knockout rounds. And forgive me, I didn't see who was in charge of that, but what are you going to do? before I get to the schedule for this weekend for Leagues Cup, I just wanted to play. And people, I think they started turning on Jurgen Klinsmann when he started criticizing the U.S., like the way that we do sports in the U.S. and getting youth talent and maybe not paying for players, but making players pay their own way. So when I saw this, I'm like, dude, I know you just had a great result in the Copa America, but he was talking about Moise Bombito, and okay, I was like, oh, but and by the way, this is to the Rapids' benefit because we're the ones that drafted him and saw the talent. Yes, it was a top 5 pick, but we're the ones that got him. We're the ones that saw the talent. So here's Marsh on Canadian players and what is happening there. So, Jesse Marsh telling people what's up. And he would know, and Armis is homies with Marsh. So, they've seen this talent and they're playing their cards close to the vest because they're Armis was talking about, well, we don't know how they're going to use Moise, and we'll see what happens. And Moise played every minute of that tournament, and obviously they lost to Argentina twice, but they made it to the semifinals. They made it to the Final Four in Copa America. So it made me shut up because I always talked about how Canada made the World Cup and won the Hex because they played every team in like 20-degree weather. But then I was watching that, and the announcers, and forgive me for not knowing their names, they were talking about how the best players have to go to the United States to play to get scholarships. And I'm like, well, Canada, like what? Like, how are you finding these players? How do you not have the infrastructure to, recognize, and train and roster these players? Like, it's not like the United States where you have, from north to south, all of these different cities, right? And, whatever, Canada. I'm just talking geographically. Most of their cities are near the border of the United States. And, you think so less logistics to discover the players. Obviously, there's a lot of traveling, just like the United States, which really outside of Brazil and Russia, there's no other. Some South African countries, they have expansive land that travel is an issue. Argentina not that big, Chile not that big, Uruguay not that big, Mexico kind of big, but they have a better infrastructure than the U.S. Although Mexico, tough time there. So I'm just saying, like Canada, it should be easier to discover these people, but and then you're just sending them to the United States, and the Canadians were mad. I kind of agree with them. Like, how do they not keep their players there so they can teach them, there? But Marsh, that kind of don't mess up the bosses on that. That'll turn some people against you. But he's Marsh, so and he already did well. Let's see what happens with Canada in the World Cup. They don't have to play any knockout rounds because they automatically qualify with the U.S. and Mexico, which happens in 2 more years. In 2 more years, in 2026. So there's that. And I hope that came out because I got to listen to the stream, and I'm still using the new technology, so I hope it works. And I'm sorry if you didn't hear it. All right, let's get the schedule And by the way, one more. The Rapids benefited it because we benefited exactly from that. And the Marsh thing is, he was talking about how he coached the best players, the best center backs in the world, and Moyes has those raw talents, even if he's not there on the skills. And the reason he didn't get there on the skills yet, or he's not there on the skills yet, is because they don't have a way to develop like they would in other countries. So, take that what you will. But to hear him say that he has the same raw talent and abilities as the best center backs that he's coached, I was very excited as a Rapids fan for that. And by the way, get your Bombito jerseys. Get your Bombito jerseys. Because when he's talking like that, it's a treat and a joy, and we're very lucky as Rapids fans or people that follow the team, cover the team, to see this, because it doesn't happen that often. Just saying. All right. Let's get to the schedule. Leagues Cup starts Tuesday, July 30th. So a week after the All-Star game here tonight. Almost a week, anyway. Toronto hosting San Luis. Montreal hosting them north of the border. Red Bull get Pachuca. Minnesota hosts Necaxa. Forgive me. Monterrey goes to Austin. That should be fun. LAFC versus Vancouver. That's on Tuesday, July 30th. Rapids don't play for a couple days after that. Wait. It started this Friday. Yeah, it does start. It does start on Friday. Rapids don't play till the 1st of August. I was looking at the wrong week there. So, yeah, what's a couple games? Maybe we could watch Apple TV. There will be some free games. The free game on Apple TV on Friday, the 26th. Austin hosts Pumas. That'll be the free game. Games I'll watch. Tijuana Xolos playing. They're going to LA, playing LAFC. Let me some Tijuana Xolos. That's one of my team. if there was a team in Mexico, and I'm sorry, I know Caberta, when he listens to this, because he's a Chivas/Chivas USA fan. I'll root for Sabinos. Rapids not the biggest club in the United States, but I like Tijuana. Forgive me. Some other bet. Mazatlan versus New England Revolution at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough outside Boston. Mazatlan. Been there. It's been a long time. I don't know what happens down there today, but there's that. Mazatlan. Maybe we'll see what else. Puebla goes to Miami. San Jose hosts Chivas. I hope so. I'm rooting for San Jose. All right, rooting for San Jose. I kind of want them to win. And then Sunday, Leon goes to Portland, and Timbers will host them 8:30 p.m. Sunday night. I'll get one of those, because starting next week, NFL football, even if it's only preseason, I will watch that. I'm one of those guys. You can hear me talk about football, every other sport, by the way. Rocky Mountain Sports Report. Excuse me. Mountain Time Sports Report. The Mountain Time Sports Report. Twitch, on YouTube. I do them live, and you can watch me there. We just do the podcast for Rapid Rant. It's actually a way to listen to podcasts on YouTube, but I'll get to that later. Anyway, thank you for subscribing over there. Monday, they take off. Tuesday, Austin hosts Monterey. Austin, they got a fun draw this year. 31st. Juarez goes to Dallas. Juarez. If you see me in person, ask my Juarez story. My Juarez story, not suitable for broadcast. Suitable for locker room talk. or late night comedy club talk. So if you're in that mood and you want to hear a Juarez story, ask me about that. And there's that. San Jose hosts the Galaxy, so maybe they have a chance there. Other than that, Salt Lake versus Atlas. Yeah, Portland. We only play Portland. Portland on the 1st of August in Portland. 8:30 p.m. start on a Thursday. All right. And yeah, and then they don't play till Friday. Other games, maybe I'll watch Chivas versus Galaxy. That'll be. I'll probably watch that game. And then a Monday night at DSG. Get your tickets. Leon is in town versus the Colorado Rapids. And I'm really excited for that. Last year, the Leagues Cup game, because you don't see these teams. And even though it's a Monday, and I'm kind of worried that they're not going to get a big crowd, but they should, because you don't see these teams that often. And I know last year there was a bunch of people that just came to see the opposing team. Forgive me. It was Toluca. All right, forgive me. But Rapids fans, we need to drown out some of those guys. Although, as I took pictures of last year, you're not getting your vuvuzela in the stadium. Don't even try. Maybe a trumpet. No vuvuzelas. And I know this is not a Spanish podcast, so some people that root for Leon probably won't hear it, but my favorite picture is the trash can full of vuvuzelas, because I understand that a lot of people have fun, playing music on them, if you want to call it that. But I figured out what it was. The sound that a vuvuzela makes. Dumb and Dumber, the mid-90s comedy that I realize is 30 years old now, so a lot of people listening that are younger than that will be like, what? Why would I watch Jeff Daniels and Jim Carrey, not in 4K? Because I was told that if it's not in 4K, I'm not watching it by some youth. Specifically, my nieces, whatever. So the young people, but it was like me. I don't like watching black and white movies. Black and white photography, different shades of gray, but that's different than movies. I'll watch some Ansel Adams, the landscapes that he took. Just my dad. I had an appreciation for that. He taught me. He was an art major, hippie in the 1960s. So the one thing he instilled in me was kind of appreciating art. And so I'll look at some gray black and white photos, but I won't watch them anyway. So the Jeff Daniels, forgive me, now I forgot the movie, but it's when Jim Carrey, Dumb and Dumber. So Dumb and Dumber, they're going across country. I don't want to give away the plot. They're trying to return this briefcase to the owner, and there's a guy, and they pick him up. They're taking him on a drive, and Jim Carrey, do you want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? And look, I don't want to swear. I know some people get mad when you say swear, but if Jim Carrey making the most annoying sound in the world is not the sound that a vuvuzela makes, then give me a better example. That's it. And and this is why I like Dick's Sporting Goods Park, because the regulars, the people that go every week, they don't do the wave and they don't let vuvuzelas in. Bring a trumpet. Get a song. Make a good song. Sing a good song. All right, this is my old man. This is my old man rant. My 40-year-old man rant. Whatever. Also, it's New England and Nashville playing that Tuesday night. And yeah, Cincinnati, New York City. I want to watch that again. That's a couple top teams in the East. That's also on Monday night. It starts at 6. The Rapids start at 7, so maybe we'll have that on television at the stadium. Anyway, Friday the 9th, which will start the second round of Leagues Cup. Club America, what, 10 a.m.? That can't be right. 10 a.m. game. They're not playing a Friday 10 a.m. game. Anyway, Columbus hosts to be determined team, and then Club America hosts to be determined team. They get automatic buys to the second round. But I brought that up because Club America, whoever they play against, they're going to play at Snapdragon Stadium, which is on this footprint of where the San Diego Chargers used to play, but they built a new stadium there for San Diego State Aztecs football. But more importantly, through this podcast, the San Diego FC team that's going to play next year. So this is going to be the first time, if an MLS team advances, that an MLS team will play there in a game that matters anyway. So that's awesome. I might watch that, see what happens there, and then San Diego, which the Rapids will visit next year, starting opening their stadium. And every press guy that you meet, old guy from the Broncos, they always say San Diego was the best away visit because they turn in their receipts, but they'd go and stay in not probably 4-star, but a nice hotel that is by the water. You can see it you're high enough up that you can see it in San Diego. Amazing city if you've never been. So there's that. All right, we've already done. I'm almost at an hour, so I better pack it up here. But I just want to say Rapids very positive going into this little Leagues Cup break. They get a rest. They get a recover. Feeling good about the next couple matches. In the MLS regular season, Leagues Cup is Leagues Cup. And I know the Rapids want some revenge for what happened last year. So there's that. Things I didn't get to today were the MLS. They're going to fine people for talking trash about the Leagues Cup. Although, if you saw what one of the Mexican club coaches said, and I don't know, just look at Liga MX coach Leagues Cup, and man, that guy he did worse than what Jesse Marsch did to the Canadian club teams, national teams, or whatever. Anyway, yeah, that Liga MX coach, if he didn't get a fine, nobody's getting a fine. But that also makes I'm not asking any questions about, Leagues Cup. And when Leagues Cup happens, it's what happened in the game today? How do we feel going forward? How do you, whoever had the great game was amazing. And I want to say this also. Whoever's been doing the clip art, not the clip art, like the game day roster, like they used to have, when you get a program for a football game, they would have like artists do the cover. Whoever's been doing that for the Rapids has been doing an amazing job. And the one for the All-Star game they made right here. And Moyes and Keegan are on the front. And yeah, it's awesome. But they've been doing them for every game, and I've been enjoying them. I wish I could get a poster of some of them, but I guess that's just not how it works these days. But I have seen guys with like collections of the old. There used to be like a lot of college football. There would be their art right there. So there's that. There's only going to be one Rapids rant this week because there's no match until the 1st. So we got a good another week until there's even a match. So that's it. That's it for me. I'm Don Pablo. I want to thank you for listening to Rapids Rant. If you've listened this far, God bless you. Remember to take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll talk to you guys later.